become a raging storm, and even the most experienced climbers can be caught out. And so it was in 1982. Two young members of the Mount Cook Search and Rescue Team, out on a familiarisation climb, were caught in a sudden storm. So began the biggest alpine search the country had ever seen. The mountain ordeal was over, but life would never be the same. Neither fully appreciated what lay ahead.
What we were seeing was half a foot that was likely to be lost. To actually understand that you had to lose it, you know, sort of 5.5 inches below the knee, that was probably one of the hardest things to understand.
It would be a long, hard road to recovery.
One of the best things was the registrar came in just before it, and I'd asked him for an honest opinion. He said, "Look, this is something that's going to take you years to get over. It's not something that you're going to be up and running around in 6 months. It's something that's going to take a lot longer, and you've got to be prepared for doing the hard yards." And that was the best advice I think I'd ever had.
In fact, it would be the best part of 20 years before Mark Inglis would once again set foot on Aoraki Mount Cook.
Really quite early on, I thought, well, let's look for something else.
Mark Joseph Inglis, first class honours in biochemistry.
I did my honours through the School of Medicine, and I ended up as a research scientist, as a scientific officer, working in medicine and haematology and leukemia, and that was, it's hugely satisfying.
That satisfaction lasted 5 years. Then it was time for another change, a new career, a new challenge as a winemaker in Marlborough.
Oh yeah, there's always the legless winemaker jokes. Occasionally been true as well, I can tell you.
Mountain climber, academic, scientist, winemaker, businessman, and now elite athlete. Specially built high-tech legs have allowed Mark to excel in his sport.
Excellent racing by Mark Inglis. Big crowd here to support him in the Kiwi camp. So double amputee Mark Inglis wins New Zealand's first medal at these 11th Paralympics. Silver medal in the 1K time trial. He really is an inspiration. And he gets the thrill of receiving his medal from Juan Antonio Samaranch, President of the International Olympic Committee.
Nothing holds Mark Inglis back. The 20-year wait is nearly over.
It was fantastic flying in that first time, knowing that I was going to go climbing, flying with Charlie, just seeing the route, that was amazing. And stepping out of that chopper on Plateau was just like coming home, it just feels so natural. Especially knowing that, you're going to climb in the next few days to get a sense and a feel of the mountain again. Everything that happened in the last 20 years, everything that happened in the last year, the Paralympics, the December climb, the family, everything. They say when you die, your life flashes in front of your eyes. But for me, my life flashed in front of my eyes in that 30 metres. One of the most magical things I've done. I was pretty tired on the top, but it was just totally overwhelmed, really.
There were two grown men crying on the summit of Mount Cook that day.
Shouldn't the sound?
KPMG, KGS Bangalore, Kia ora! Okay, lesson number one of many today. When a New Zealander When a Kiwi stands in front of you and says, "Kia ora," you need to reply with even more passion. Kia ora!
Kia ora!
That's what I've come to expect from KPMG. A higher purpose. I've spent a lot of my life in a high place. What I'd like to share with you today, perhaps, are some of those places. If you want to go high, you should try 8,850 metres. The roof of the world. Over 8 kilometres higher than right here. You should try it standing on a set of those. Well, I guess it's welcome to my world. I'll take you through a journey this afternoon through my world. Through a world where it's your attitude that will define your altitude. It's a place where moments really do matter. I'll share some of those moments. But I think you need to understand where I've come from. You need to understand by the time I was 18 years old, I wasn't at university. By the time I was 18 years old, I was a search and rescue mountaineer. I was jumping out of helicopters and picking up broken and bent people, sometimes picking up their bodies. And if you're going to jump out of a helicopter on a mountain like that, then you better know your team member. It was way back in 1982. I was on a training climb with a new team member. And it was a tough day. We'd just come across the very summit of Aoraki, Mount Cook, and there was a bit of a storm blowing. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Oh, it's a wee bit like this.
Westerly flow, the first place to cop it is Mount
Cook has claimed the lives of 218 people, 12 more than the world's tallest peak, Mount Everest.
That's right. That mountain back in New Zealand has killed almost as many people as Everest. It's a tough place. And when you're stuck up there in a storm like we were, you have to get out of the wind. It's the wind in those mountains that will kill you. But there's not many options up there. In fact, there's only one. So it makes the decision easy. There's a wee crevasse. It's just a wee hole in the ice. Well, it's very difficult to describe it here in Bangalore. It's 28 degrees, 30 degrees outside. There's not a lot of ice around. Although you did have a hailstorm, eh? Yeah. And so I thought perhaps the best way so you can understand my little home, my little sanctuary, was I'd build one here on the stage. But I didn't need to because I found one. But what I do need is I need 2 volunteers. Come on up, 2 volunteers. Got one coming up here. Oh, sorry. They beat you to it. You're going to have to be quicker. Sorry about that. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Okay. Now your name for today? No, it's Mark. okay? You're about the right size. And your name is Philip. Sanchin, I know, but you're Philip today, okay? And so what I did was I found an ice cave almost the same as mine. And so you're going to have an ice cave experience. Come this way. Come on. Okay, hop under. Yep. Okay. Lucky she's not wearing a sari. Well, now you need to put your back to the ends and your feet to the middle. This is a test on how they take instructions. Oh, very good. Now, can you sit right up? You can, you're really short. Can you? No, you can't. That's about the size of the ice cave. It's very difficult to lie right down. You couldn't quite sit right up. And we crawled into there and we thought, we have a saying in New Zealand. If you don't like the weather, wait 30 minutes, it's going to change. You're good for 30 minutes? Way to go. Well, actually we had to spend a bit longer than 30 minutes in there. How do you feel about perhaps 24 hours in there? They're not looking so keen now. The other small problem we had was we didn't have much food.
Small problem. That's a small problem.
In fact, that's exactly the food that we had. So, I'm guessing being KPMG, these people can count. How many cookies? 5 cookies, correct. 4 now. She must be from audit. On the first day in there, we took 1 cookie and we broke it in half and we had half each. Don't eat it all at once. Those cookies didn't last us 24 hours. Those cookies lasted us 324 hours. Like they're probably feeling at the moment, we wanted to get out. And every day we tried to get out. But after 5 days of being in there, after 5 days of just 1 cookie, between 2, and Phil was a big eater, we weren't going anywhere. But I think we might release them from the ice cave, eh? How about giving them a hand? Thank you very much. Come on out. Thank you. Thank you. Magic. Well, you guys do maths. You know 324 hours is actually 13 and a half days. I went into that ice cave at 70 kilograms. I came out at 39. You don't see that diet advertised on Indian TV, do we, eh? Come on. The only reason that Phil and I survived, the longest anyone had ever survived in a similar situation, was 9 days. We survived 13 and a half for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 was knowledge. That's the business you're in. If you haven't got knowledge, then you have got nothing. I was the person that rescued other people. If I didn't know how to survive, who would? The other reason we survived was faith in our team. That's why you're here as well. I spent those 13 and a half days worrying that one of my team would get hurt or killed. That's the faith I had in my team. But on the morning of the 29th of November 1982, the weather cleared. It cleared for just 2 hours. And in those 2 hours we were lifted off the summit of Mount Cook by helicopter. And we went away to hospital, knowing that we would lose some toes. Occupational hazard as a mountaineer. We didn't realise that we were going to lose legs. I spend a lot of my time working with your clients, working on culture change in business. I work a lot with mentoring people around change, because I am very privileged, very lucky, because I have a gold standard for change. I even know the day. I even know the time. It was 9 a.m. in the morning on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, 1982. The surgeon came in and put 2 lines on my stumps and wheeled me into theatre. And the only thing I could think of was cut them off and let me get out of here. The only problem is you wake up the next day, Christmas Day, and you look down the bed and the sheets end halfway down. That's when I came to understand that you never know what something is like until it actually happens to you.
True.
Well, that was a moment that mattered. It was more than that. It was a life-changing moment. And for me, it's been the understanding that it's not the physicality of what you do. It's not walking or riding or climbing. It's actually thinking. You might have seen this on Facebook. Not at work though. Dear optimist, pessimist and realist. While you guys were arguing about that glass of wine, is it half full? Is it half empty? Well, actually, I just drank it. And that's called being the opportunist. That's what we need to be. That's what KPMG has been. I mean, that's why it is the size it is. It's about grabbing the opportunity. That is not a double amputee mountaineer. That is a mountaineer who will never get frostbite in his feet again. One less thing to worry about. And so what you think is important.
True.
But far more important is how you think. Think of, it's about innovation. If KPMG and KGS hadn't innovated, you wouldn't be the size you are. Because innovation is opportunity and it is growth. As an example, I love cycling. So where's my opportunity? Well, my opportunity is I can be far more aerodynamic than anyone with bends. I haven't got big calf muscles hanging out in the wind. I might be slower going up a hill, but I'm much faster coming back down. But if you're going to innovate, then you need to put yourself up. You need to put yourself up on a world stage. You need to be tested. And for me, that came along in the year 2000.
Now he's
see a double amputee with no cycling experience as a track or road cyclist until taking up the sport after the mountaineering accident. You may remember he spent 13 days in a snow cave in the Southern Alps, but now look at him go. A brilliant beginning by Mark Inglis. He comes up with the time to be at that stage. He's underneath, he's going well. He's in the lead. He's going well. And he's coming out of the position. Mark Inglis of New Zealand goes into the lead. 1:23.169. A brilliant ride. He really is an inspiration.
Don't clap too much, it was 0.2 seconds too slow for the goal. But I did bring home New Zealand's first ever medal in cycling. I stood on that podium like I'm standing here now, and I was looking out, but it wasn't the crowd of people that I saw. What podiums are good for is they give you height, like the summit of a mountain, and they let you see further. In my mind's eye, I saw another place I needed to go and stand. Every time you put the X in, you just think, oh, yes, absolutely. You have to do something regularly in your life to set new parameters. I think I'll come out of it silly and stronger, and with far less inhibitions for doing more things, I think.
In his second attempt in 2001, 19 years after that rescue from the ice cave, Mark Inglis was back on top.
Aim, plan, act.